Welcome back to another episode of the podcast, and we have huge news dropping with Aaron Rodgers coming back to the Steelers. Let's just dive right into it because this is the most exciting, interesting news we've heard probably all week. Aaron Rodgers finally coming back. Funny story, I actually saw Aaron Rodgers at my work. I worked at a fun for all, and this guy comes in, him and Ben Skoranek, they come in and they go out to play mini golf where I work, and I was like, "Whoa, why is Aaron Rodgers here? This is super cool," especially after all of him being like that. Like not showing up to that outing and stuff and, whatever. But that's just a cool story I want to talk to you about. Aaron Rodgers came into my work and I saw him and he was a cool guy. Didn't really talk much to him, didn't want to bother him because, that workplace stuff that you're not allowed to talk to them or annoy them or whatever. But yeah, that was a really cool experience I had. But Aaron Rodgers coming back to the Steelers, what do we honestly think? One, is it good for the Steelers? Two, is it going to make a difference for what happens this year if the Steelers make the playoffs? What does that mean for our quarterback room? What is it looking like for that? We have a couple big things. And then later we're going to get into some Pirates info that is kind of, a little bit less, but we'll start with Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers, dude, not really. I'm kind of indifferent about him coming back. One, because we drafted Drew Aller in the third round. You'd think maybe we'd have some competition for him and Will Howard in that quarterback room for the starting position. That's kind of the way it looked like it was going with the Drew Aller being drafted. Maybe Aaron Rodgers wasn't coming back, and they wanted to give Will Howard, Drew Aller some competition in the quarterback room, which would totally make sense. That would be super exciting to see. It'd be super cool to see. But Aaron Rodgers coming back basically means I'm guessing we're getting rid of Rudolph, right? Like, and then it's Will Howard, Drew Aller going to be squaring off for the starting position next year. And I guess it kind of makes sense because they wanted to do kind of what Aaron Rodgers was to Jordan Love and give him that, like, seniority, like, really good guy. That kind of could teach these younger guys. Of course, then you have two quarterbacks. You have double the opportunity to, I guess, do well, which is, I guess good. I don't know. Drew Aller didn't really impress me. Penn State. I have seen some stuff where they're just like, oh yeah, Drew Aller, we're just gonna unteach him everything we taught him at Penn State. Okay, cool, but like, I don't know. I just wasn't convinced on him yet. Kind of the same thing with Will Howard, but Will Howard I have a little bit more hope for because he won a natty and he had, a lot more experience at Ohio State at a really good football college. Not that I don't think Penn State is, but you know how Penn State season's been going. Um, but it's just kind of like, you know, there's a lot going on that we need to understand for this quarterback room, and I just don't think it's going to be healthy for those. I don't know. I would rather a young quarterback get started now. Not that it's healthy, but I'd rather a young quarterback get started with the Steelers now and maybe have a losing season so we can build up our team some more, maybe get an earlier first round pick. I think that'd make a huge difference compared to just, Aaron Rodgers is back again. We probably go, I don't know, 9-8 again. I don't want to bring the curse back, but it's really looking like that's what's going to happen. And as a longtime Pittsburgh sports fan, I'm not a fan of that. I'd rather, maybe we take the L one year, oh well, and we start building our team up again from the ground up with an earlier round pick. Also, some really important things that we need to look at. Aaron Rodgers, he is going to be 42 this season, so he's going to be really old. And don't get me wrong, Aaron Rodgers has a great arm, but he cannot scramble at all. I do like our draft. Our draft was good. I talked about that two podcasts ago about how solidifying our line and all this other things. But my real problem with Aaron Rodgers is he's older and I don't think we have a chance of winning a Super Bowl this year. I just don't see how it's plausible or feasible that, new coach, old quarterback, old team. I just don't see it happening. I think we have a better chance with starting off with a young guy and giving him some experience and seeing if he works out or not, like Will Howard or Drew Howard. I've been a Will Howard supporter from the beginning. I think Will Howard should be starting this year. I love Will Howard. He's a great guy, great human, and I just want to see him have the opportunity to do well. And I think if he has the opportunity to do well, it'll be a lot better for us as Steelers fans. But it's just a little concerning that they keep going back to this. Let's get an old quarterback and not really wanting to throw in and try a young quarterback. I think that'd be really great for the franchise as a whole, be like exciting, but also we don't want another Kenny Pickett situation where he just is not the guy, it just does not go over well and he just kind of blows. I don't know. It's a really hard situation. I get it why they don't want to go like Kenny Pickett part two, which would really suck for us, but also you got to take a shot eventually. And I mean, I don't know. we're gonna have to take a shot eventually, and we need that shot to be sooner rather than later, especially with Aaron Rodgers being as old as he is. I think it just needs to happen. We need to rip the band-aid off and make it happen. Now, for the Steelers this year, I looked at their schedule. I've seen a couple things, and I like our schedule this year, of course. It is going to be difficult because we did win the division last year, and we played the winners of the other divisions. So that's a little scary. But I don't know. I didn't really look too much into it. It's just, it's another Steelers schedule. It gets me excited. I'm really excited for Steelers football to come back. Again, it's a long way away. I'm going to try and go to Steelers training camp to get kind of an idea of what's going on there. But on kind of a different note, I have been working on something that I've talked about on this podcast before. I've talked about it other times before, and that's like my little sports card side business. You can see my cards up here. I've been working on that for a while. Couple things that or a couple updates about it. If you're curious about how I've been trying to do that while also being, a massive Pittsburgh sports fan, as you can see in my room right now. Got Riverhound, Crosby, Malkin up on there, and I got TJ Watt over here. I mean, it's just things like that I just love Steelers sports. But I'm trying to fund my incredible sports addiction by selling sports cards or reselling them, I guess. And a couple of things that I've learned. I actually spent was it last night? I was up real late last night. Watching a video of the best ways to start a sports card business under $100. Under $100. And the best thing that I could tell was that you need to go on eBay, find cards that are under listed at like, I don't know, a cheap price that are at auction. eBay has auctions. You start them at like $1 and you see where it sells for. So the suggestion that this video told me was to go on eBay auctions, watch the eBay auctions for times that end weirdly, photos with bad lighting, and just underpriced lots. And I did it. I found some underpriced stuff, found some cool things that are like I got three different things for $1 today, and I think I paid $10 in shipping in total for those three things, and they are going to be able to flip me for like $30. And what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to get like an ecosystem going. So like I took some of my sister's old Pokemon cards. I'm like, okay, these should sell. Looked them up on 130 Point. If you don't know what 130 Point is, it's like an app I use to find like recently sold comps, so I could tell like how to sell them, how much to sell them for. So I kind of just like shifted from just kind of winging it to kind of like watching some videos, getting some like ideas on how to do everything. But besides the point, back to my main point of what's going on with it. Sold a couple cards. I'm just trying to like reinvest that back into like the business as a whole. And I started off by just ripping packs and selling what I got from those packs. And guess it's not a great ecosystem to sustain because the packs, most of the time for retail, which is like your Target, your Walmart, you're not going to make money off them. I did pull a really cool Tyler Adams, but that's besides the point. 90% of the time, you're not going to make money off them. So I'm trying to find a way that is more sustainable. So I started doing the eBay auctions thing, and I actually got some good flips, hopefully, that are going to be coming in soon. I'm going to get into grading soon with the new Fanatics Collect. You can submit cards to get graded, which will increase the value, hopefully, if I can get some 10s and some good stuff. So we're definitely going to be looking into that. But it's more the fact of just creating an ecosystem, which is kind of hard to do with, like, no starting capital. Like, I was in college. I was making, like, $100 a week from going to work, like, working a couple hours. I worked, like, 10 to 15 hours a week. And now I'm just trying to find a way that now that it's summer that I can just reinvest and build something up. Because, at the end of the day, you got to do what you got to do for yourself, right? You got to run and grab it for yourself. I actually had a real pop off about that a couple days ago about like, you just have to start doing what you want to do. So I've just been kind of just taking that step recently and just starting to do things, starting to do a sports card thing, which I never was really into, but now it's like one of my favorite things ever. Starting a podcast. And people are just like, yeah, the hardest part is just starting. That's like super, super stupid advice. That's all I hear. Actually, the one comment was literally, yeah, everyone says just start. It's the hardest part is just to start. It's the stupidest advice you've ever given. This is a bunch of crap talk. The literally thing I responded is, maybe if you heard it so much, maybe it's just the most helpful advice you need to hear. Because if you're not just starting, what are you doing? It took me forever to get started on a podcast, a sports card. I have a couple other Instagram accounts that I run to try and make myself, just experiment. And the hardest part is really just starting. I get that, but it's also sustaining. Sustaining it is a lot of work. I mean, the amount of hours that I have to put into sitting here, editing, recording podcasts, actually spending money. I have one, two, three ring lights now to try and like balance out the lighting in here to make it look better, which I think it looks a lot better. Let me know what you guys think if you're watching. the video podcast. But it's just different things like that, like just trying to sustain everything and make it last for a long time. That is like the key of running like a business. I don't know. Again, it's new. I'm just experimenting. If you guys have any tips and you know anything about starting a business or like sports cards or anything you want to like throw some advice at me, I'm here for it. I'm all for it. I have football, baseball, hockey, Star Wars, not Pokemon though. I just saw my sister's old ones, not any like trading card games like Pokemon or any of that. I don't do any of that. Just the stuff that I think is fun, which is of course is sports. But yeah, recently I've also been trying to like figure out different reasons on ways I can make like my podcast better and grow like my viewership. And that's just a lot of people are just saying like be more real, do this, do that. But, I mean, of course, I feel like I'm pretty real with you guys. Like I feel like for you viewers have been around a long time. It kind of started as like a sports psychology podcast, and now we're kind of shifting into like more of like a real me that you kind of see more often, which is like, I just want like I was learning still, and now we're kind of here where I can sit in front of and talk to you guys and like be honest. And that's really awesome. I'm so glad I can do that. I'm so like I'm blessed to be able to do that for the people that listen. So thank you for listening. If you've been in it this long, if you especially if you've been a day one listener, I really do appreciate it. It means a lot to me. But it's just like, how do I grow? And the biggest thing that this video was telling me, I've been trying to watch a lot of videos and do a lot of research, if you haven't noticed, is just find your why, find, find your why. It's find your why. What's your mission statement? What do you want people to see about you? What is your thing? And of course, Pittsburgh sports fan. If you couldn't tell, I like my soccer team too that I talk about sometimes. Might have an episode coming out about this week about it because believe it or not, there's a lot of cool things that happen in soccer despite popular belief, but that'll be for another time. And my sports identity, the identity I wanted to say is I'm a Pittsburgh sports fan, and I want that to be in my identity every time. So I'll put up these jerseys recently. That's actually over there. That's actually my TV. And I hung some sports jerseys on it. Recently, I had like my YouTube channel on it, whatever, for like my podcast. I just want to try something new, and I think this looks super cool. And I'm just trying to like, what am I? What am I? I'm Kai. What do people want to know me as? The sports fanatic. Really cool story. The other day, I was working an event. I was a leader for a night term member. I think I've talked about it on this podcast before. It's a prom for special needs kids. And at the end of the night, I was talking to this kid. This kid's name was his name was Dakota. He had special needs. And you know what? I ended up talking to him about sports. And me and him sat there, and I've never been like just like talking to him just made me feel like I don't know. He was just so honest and he was just so fun. And it really is just like a really truly cool experience when you can see a kid that's really that excited to talk sports just as much as you are. And you know what? He was awesome. I mean, me and him talked about football, baseball. I mean, we talked about how he's watched ping pong before, and that was just like a really cool experience for me to talk to this guy who, might not get talked to a lot about this stuff. And funny enough, we ended up talking to him about the podcast. So Dakota, if you're listening, dude, you're a great guy. I really like talking to you. We'll have to talk again sometime. But we ended up talking about my podcast. He's like, that's really cool. I'm gonna follow it. He ended up following my podcast, and Dakota, if you're listening, dude, you are awesome. I hope to talk to you again sometime soon. But he was trying to convince me that he wants to see the Cleveland Browns win the division one year. I'm like, you know what? If the Cleveland Browns win the division one year, that would actually be really a shock to me. And he said, yeah, I feel like this year could be the year. They really buffed up during the draft. I'm like, you're right, you're right. And I said the real problem that you're gonna find is Shadur the guy? Is Shadur the guy that everyone's making him out to be? That's literally it. That if I listen, Cleveland could actually be a good team if Shadur turns out to be that guy. I'll be honest with you. But after talking to him, he had a really, really good point about that. That Shadur, if he's the guy, he's gonna be the reason they win the division. And he says that when the Browns if the Browns were in the division this year, they would go to the Super Bowl, and then he wants to watch them lose the Super Bowl so they know how to play in a Super Bowl. I'm like, wow, that's actually really like that's like this isn't just like a fan. This is a guy who understands the sport. He's like talking about how they want to get experience in the Super Bowl, how they want to, watch them, and then the next time they can go and win it because they understand it. And I'm like, dude, you like know your stuff. Like this is really cool. Like I really enjoy talking to you. Like this is awesome. So this is your sign out there. If you just talk sports with someone, which you may have no relation to at all, you have no idea who the guy is, and you just start talking sports with them. I mean, I made a great relationship yesterday, and it was awesome to see. But it's just events like that are super cool that I can just connect through things like my podcast that give me the opportunity to talk to these people. So again, Dakota, love you, man. If you're listening, it's super cool talking to you. But there's only one more point that I want to cover. We kind of talked about like my eBay business, which I've been trying to start up, how the podcast is going, which is kind of like, going it's going well, I'd say. I'm doing pretty good. I'm happy with it. I'm really excited about it. The Aaron Rodgers, of course, and lastly, Ryan O'Hearn, Pirates. You can't. I'm wearing Pirates right now. Ryan O'Hearn, he is injured. He like a quad strain. He got pulled from the game the other day. I really hope he's doing all right because you know what? He might be our best player right now for the Pirates, and I would really like to see him continue to be our best player and not be injured for 10 days. So I really hope he's all right. I really hope he's back soon. But Ryan O'Hearn, please come back soon. We miss you, dude. You're like the best, one of the best players. We like you're like our whole offense, but we really need to work on our bullpen. I mean, the Phillies crushed us. It was really embarrassing, but our bullpen really needs worked on as soon as possible. So, I mean, there's that. Just start working on the bullpen. That's really it. If we can get to I think it's June transfer window, we got it. We really have to get a bullpen arm that is actually sustainable because that's where we're getting crushed right now. But anyways, guys, that's all the time we have for the podcast today. I really appreciate y'all for listening. Let me know if you have any thoughts or anything you want me to talk about. But for now, I'm Kai. This is the KaiCast. I'll see you next time. Thanks for listening.